Have you ever wondered, what if the biggest royal wedding of the century wasn't just a love story at all, but the opening move in a plan that had already been carefully mapped out behind palace walls? Because according to explosive claims from royal author Tom Bower, there may have been something far bigger hiding beneath the dazzling dresses, the horse-drawn carriage, and the picture-perfect smiles. If those claims are true, then the wedding millions watched around the world may not have been the beginning of Meghan Markle's royal life. It may have been the beginning of her royal exit. And once you start connecting the pieces, the timeline suddenly becomes almost impossible to ignore.
Oh, I was there. Hated the day. The day was a miserable day. I mean, it was a...
Really? I thought...
Well, was it? Well, I can tell you now, it was the worst royal engagement I ever did, a royal wedding I ever did. You know, I thought to myself, you know, this is all showbiz rubbish.
You're absolutely right. I mean, what I discovered was, of course, that she was hunting for a man, and she targeted, there's no doubt she targeted Harry.
The whole thing was just stage managed to suit them.
This is not the Harry he was a few years ago, and the only reason he's not like that is he's following the requests of Meghan. He said himself, what Meghan wants, Meghan gets.
And so he was angry, and I felt, you know, we were punished for that.
The cameras showed a modern fairy tale. Crowds filled the streets, cheering as though history itself was unfolding before their eyes. Every television network called it magical. Every newspaper printed photographs that looked almost too perfect to be real. But behind those carefully polished images, people who were actually inside the wedding have spent years revealing a completely different story. And the more they speak, the stranger everything begins to sound. One of those voices belongs to legendary royal photographer Arthur Edwards, a man who spent decades documenting the royal family through triumphs, scandals, celebrations, and heartbreak. This wasn't some outsider trying to invent drama years later. He had earned the trust of Queen Elizabeth, traveled across the world covering royal tours, and witnessed moments very few people ever get close enough to see. Yet even he walked away from Harry and Meghan's wedding with memories that shocked him. Instead of describing warmth and excitement, Arthur recalled tension hanging in the air almost from the very beginning. According to him, Prince Harry appeared frustrated with members of the press and even with staff trying to do their jobs. Rather than creating an atmosphere of celebration, he claimed there was an uncomfortable feeling that everyone was walking on eggshells. Even photographers who had covered the royal family respectfully for years suddenly found themselves being treated like unwelcome intruders. For Arthur, that stood out because he had experienced countless royal events before this one. He understood pressure. He understood protocol. But this felt different. It wasn't simply a busy wedding day. It felt like suspicion had replaced trust. As Arthur continued describing the day, another picture emerged, one television audiences never saw. The guests weren't quietly enjoying a glamorous ceremony in perfect comfort. They were struggling through intense heat while wearing heavy formal clothing required by royal tradition.
And the photographers they engaged for the job was 5 feet away. You know, it was just hopeless. And then the carriage shot, when they went past me in the carriage, they looked the other way. So for me, it was a disaster. And
well, was that deliberate? You were made to feel unwelcome
I
at the
felt
wedding?
so. I felt it wasn't just me; it was the whole of the British press.
Arthur himself had to wear an enormous ceremonial outfit that felt completely unsuitable for the blazing summer temperatures. Hour after hour passed beneath an unforgiving sun, and according to his recollection, even celebrities who normally appeared effortlessly composed could no longer hide their discomfort. Expensive smiles slowly disappeared as people desperately used wedding programs as makeshift fans, trying to cool themselves while cameras focused elsewhere. The polished television broadcast never showed those uncomfortable moments. Viewers saw elegance. Guests experienced exhaustion. Some later wondered whether the pressure surrounding appearances had become more important than the comfort of the very people invited to celebrate. Then another layer of chaos reportedly surfaced. Arthur claimed wedding planners suddenly found themselves dealing with unexpected celebrity additions that had not originally been factored into the carefully organized arrangements. Every royal wedding operates with military precision. Seating charts, transportation, security, catering, photography, and protocol are all calculated months in advance. So when last-minute changes begin happening, even small adjustments can ripple through the entire operation. According to Arthur's account, names such as Oprah Winfrey, Tyler Perry, Elton John, and numerous Hollywood celebrities became part of a guest list that quickly expanded beyond what planners had initially prepared for.
When I think, you know, I've done some really lovely royal weddings. I did both Prince Charles, King Charles's weddings. I did William's wedding. I did Andrew's wedding. I did Sophie and Edward. You know, I mean, they were They were lovely occasions, but that today, I couldn't get out of Windsor quick enough, I promise you that
The
day.
worst royal wedding.
That immediately raises an uncomfortable question. Was this simply excitement over sharing a special day with famous friends, or was something much bigger already beginning to take shape? Because Tom Bauer believes those celebrity invitations deserve far more attention than most people gave them at the time. He argues they weren't random social invitations. He believes they represented future investments, future alliances, future opportunities. If royal life eventually became difficult, those relationships inside Hollywood could become incredibly valuable. Years later, when Harry and Meghan signed media deals, partnered with streaming companies, sat down for globally televised interviews, and built an entirely new public life in America, critics looked back at that wedding guest list with completely different eyes. Suddenly, those invitations didn't seem quite so ordinary anymore. Then came another decision that left many longtime royal observers quietly shaking their heads. The seating arrangement reportedly became one of the day's most talked about frustrations among insiders. Royal protocol normally places senior figures according to service, rank, and family position. It's an institution built around centuries of tradition. Yet Arthur described something that appeared to turn those traditions upside down. Individuals who had devoted decades to serving the monarchy reportedly found themselves seated farther back, while internationally famous celebrities with little connection to royal life received some of the most desirable positions inside the ceremony. To palace traditionalists, that wasn't just unusual, it was symbolic. Some wondered whether the priorities of the event had quietly shifted away from the institution itself and towards something much more image-driven. Arthur even joked that his own position was so distant he felt as though he were watching everything through a navigation screen instead of witnessing history firsthand. According to Tom Bauer, the deeper story did not end with celebrity invitations or unusual seating arrangements, because the most explosive claims centered on what Tom Bauer described as an understanding that allegedly existed long before the wedding vows were exchanged. Tom Bauer argues that Meghan had already recognized the extraordinary commercial value that came with marrying into the royal family while also maintaining strong ties to the entertainment world. In Tom Bauer's view, the wedding itself became the perfect bridge between two completely different worlds, rather than simply celebrating the beginning of a royal marriage. Tom Bauer believes the ceremony quietly positioned Meghan among some of the most influential media figures on the planet. From that perspective, every famous face in attendance became more than a guest. According to Tom Bauer, every introduction represented another possible connection that could become important if royal life ever stopped matching expectations. Critics dismissed that interpretation as speculation, but supporters of Tom Bauer insist the years that followed made those claims appear far less far-fetched than they initially sounded. When Harry and Meghan eventually built a new life centered around interviews, documentaries, streaming platforms, and global publicity, many observers looked back at the wedding and wondered whether the foundation for that future had been laid much earlier than anyone realized. After the wedding, events unfolded with remarkable speed. Instead of settling quietly into royal duties, Harry and Meghan eventually stepped onto an entirely different path that surprised millions around the world. The Oprah interview became one of the defining moments of that journey, placing deeply personal family disagreements before a worldwide audience. Arthur Edwards openly questioned many of the accusations that emerged from that interview, arguing that they did not match the royal family he had spent decades observing firsthand. Arthur Edwards believed the interview represented a dramatic break from the traditional approach expected of senior royals, and the timing caused even more speculation. Some critics even suggested that the friendship with Oprah may have become strategically valuable long before the interview itself ever happened, although that remains a matter of opinion rather than established fact. Nevertheless, once those claims reached international audiences, public debate intensified, and every earlier detail from the wedding suddenly attracted renewed attention. Tom Bauer then presented an even more controversial interpretation of the relationship itself. According to Tom Bauer, the marriage was driven by ambition rather than romance, arguing that Meghan had deliberately pursued a future offering greater influence and international prominence. Tom Bauer points to Meghan's previous marriage to Trevor Engelson before meeting Harry and suggests that Harry represented an opportunity unlike any other. Those assertions remain strongly disputed, but Tom Bauer insists the pace of the relationship reflected determination rather than coincidence. Whether people accept that interpretation or reject it entirely, there is little doubt that the relationship moved rapidly toward engagement and then toward one of the most watched weddings in modern history. Tom Bauer also claims that Harry ignored warnings urging caution before the marriage. Reports that Prince William advised Harry not to rush have circulated for years, and Tom Bauer argues those concerns were dismissed because attention remained firmly fixed on moving forward with the ceremony. According to Tom Bower, another surprising development involved the guest list itself, with several longtime friends of Harry reportedly absent while high-profile celebrity attendees became increasingly prominent. Tom Bower argues that this reflected a deliberate shift in priorities, suggesting that future influence mattered more than preserving long-standing personal relationships. Supporters of Harry strongly reject those conclusions. But Tom Bower maintains that the pattern fits into a broader narrative that, in Tom Bower's opinion, became clearer only after later events unfolded. The years following the ceremony only fueled further debate. Harry published Spare, revealing deeply personal family experiences, and Harry and Meghan later participated in major media projects that brought additional private royal matters into public discussion. Tom Bower argues that the wedding should now be viewed as the moment when the direction of the relationship with the monarchy fundamentally changed. Angela Levin also expressed concerns after describing encounters with Harry before the engagement became public, saying Harry appeared unusually anxious whenever Meghan became part of the conversation. Angela Levin later argued that Meghan exercised significant influence over Harry and pointed to incidents that, in Angela Levin's opinion, demonstrated a changing dynamic within the relationship. Angela Levin also revisited the widely discussed disagreement over the wedding tiara, recalling reports that Meghan initially preferred an emerald tiara whose reported provenance raised concerns before Queen Elizabeth made the final decision regarding which tiara would be worn. Angela Levin believes those moments reflected deeper tensions that became more visible over time, while Queen Elizabeth continued to emphasize royal tradition and institutional responsibility.